As you're well aware, Manitoba is undergoing one of the largest evacuations and wildfire seasons in our province's history, which requires significant resources and cooperation from all partners. This remains an all-hands-on-deck situation, and we're working with local leaderships, municipal, First Nation leaders, as well as governments across the country to work through this issue in real time. We're also going to try to keep this short so we get respect for our officials' time so they can get back to the hard work that they're doing each and every day. Just an update, last week we launched the Manitoba Ready portal at mbready.manitoba.ca for people who have been evacuated and who may be in a wildfire zone. There's been great response to this portal as well too, with over 18,000 Manitobans having used this since we launched it last week. This portal is used to receive critical information about current wildfires, shelters, and available services for evacuees. This portal will continue to be updated as things evolve so quickly. So please, Manitobans, check it regularly if you feel the need. Over the weekend, we saw some rain and some cooler temperatures, which helped with controlling some of the fires. But there remains fires to note that Kristen will update you on shortly. In addition to our own firefighters and support personnel, we have approximately 300 firefighters from across the country and the U.S. assisting with firefighting efforts. We have an additional number of U.S. crews arriving today. We continue to make requests from various partners to bolster our wildfire response. And I have to say this remains a state of emergency, and I want to thank all of our partners and those on the front lines who help protect Manitoba communities and are doing their part each and every day. I'll now pass it on to Kristen.
Good morning, Kristen Hayward, Assistant Deputy Minister, responsible for the Wildfire Service with Natural Resources and Indigenous Futures. There are 28 fires burning in the province as of today, and 10 of these fires remain out of control. There have been 114 fires to date. We continue to have a number of fires in close proximity to communities, and all of these that I will mention are still out of control. For these fires, our main objectives are to continue work on the flanks adjacent to the communities, set up and maintain value protection, and patrol for any spot fires in the community. In the north number 2 near Lynn Lake is over 71,000 hectares. North 5 in the vicinity of Genpeg, Cross Lake, Pimicikamat Cree Nation is over 58,000 hectares now. North 10 at Split Lake to Tasqueat Cree Nation is about 21,000 hectares. And for all of these communities, work has been done to create fire guards adjacent to the communities, and those are holding still at this time. In the east, Fire East 61 in the Nopaming area is now over 203,000 hectares. Priority is working in the Davidson Lake area, and we're working on hardening the perimeter of that fire all around. In the west, the largest fire in the province is West 17 in the vicinity of Flin Flon and Sheridan. That fire is estimated to be over 307,000 hectares. Our overall objective, of course, is to allow people back in as soon as we can, ensure that it's safe to do so, but that fire definitely remains out of control. And flare-ups are expected to still happen later this week when we see an uptrend in the weather. There has been a little bit of rain in Flin Flon, but it was really only 2 to 4 millimeters, which is not enough to control that fire. We continue to work with the province of Saskatchewan, with Office of the Fire Commissioner and local fire departments to protect the community as well as areas near Baker's Narrows Airport. Fire 25 at Puckatawagan is now over 55,000 hectares. That fire has not grown significantly recently, but that was recently mapped, so that's why you'll see that new size. And Fire West 28 near Baker's Narrows Provincial Park is over 5,000 hectares on the Manitoba side. We continue to have a number of other fires of note, which will be detailed in the bulletin later today and have been in previous bulletins as well. For information on those, you can look there. I just wanted to note, in terms of enforcement, conservation officers in the province have laid 74 charges and issued 28 warnings for wildfire-related infractions since May 1st. And I think I will leave it there for today. I'll leave it to Christine.
Thank you, Kristen. I'm Christine Stevens. I'm the Assistant Deputy Minister responsible for the Manitoba Emergency Management Organization. Manitoba remains under a provincial state of emergency. Currently, there are 24 states of local emergency across the province, and 27 communities across Manitoba remain evacuated due to wildfire threat, with 6 evacuating due to wildfire smoke-related impacts. As of this morning, excuse me, there are approximately 21,000 individuals who have registered as evacuees with the Canadian Red Cross. Currently, there are 3 reception centers established, one in Winnipeg, one in Brandon, and one in Thompson, and there are 4 congregate shelters established as well in Winnipeg, Thompson, Nelson House, and Seguin. I'll hand it to Minister Naylor now.
Thank you, Christine. So I'm Lisa Naylor. I'm the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, who's also responsible for Emergency Management Organization. The safety and security of Manitobans remains our #1 priority during this wildfire season. This is one of the largest evacuations in our province's history, as we're nearing 21,000 people who've been evacuated. And we have moved very quickly to give safety and shelter. Most of those evacuations have taken place over the past 2 weeks. Excuse me. The government anticipates there may be a need for more hotel rooms as the wildfire season continues. For that reason, we are urging Manitobans and Canadians to reconsider non-essential travel and event plans within Manitoba. There are thousands of evacuees currently displaced, and the provincial government, along with its partners, has been working quickly to find accommodations that fit their comfort, medical, and family needs. We absolutely know how important tourism is to Manitoba, and we are very mindful of the many workers whose livelihoods depend on a strong tourism sector. We are fully engaged with hotel and tourism stakeholders to ensure that relevant information is flowing in all directions in real time. And we're confident that with full information concerning capacity and availability in hotels, motels, and other temporary lodging across the province, as well as planned events throughout the province, we will be able to safely find lodging for all evacuees, along with all of the necessary supports through the Canadian Red Cross. I know Manitobans want to do their part to help, so refraining from non-essential travel in our province during this time of serious challenge is one step we can take together to support our fellow Manitobans. I now invite you to ask questions.
In terms of the enforcement, have there been any, we heard of arson charges in another province. Have there been any arson charges laid, or are the infractions simply, having a fire when you're not supposed to, that sort of thing?
So the bulk of those infractions that I've reported on were related to incidents under the Wildfires Act or the Provincial Parks Act. So those would be things like entering an area that has been closed without authorization. It could be setting or lighting a fire without a permit. That could be in a park or outside of a park. And I'm aware that the RCMP has laid arson charges as well, but I won't be able to speak to those, of course.
Last week, the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs held a press conference with leaders from Northern First Nations who were calling for more firefighting equipment in their communities. Does the province plan to send more firefighting equipment and prevention equipment to these communities, or is there any plan to take action on that front?
Well, we have a lot on the go as well too. So we have a number of resources that are out in the communities and supporting not only First Nation communities, but the municipalities as well too. But as we go forward and learning from the things that we go through today, I think as a go forward approach, we're absolutely engaging in the First Nation communities as to how we can stand up further infrastructure in those communities so that when we do have situations such as this, we're all more prepared.
A lot of rain in Flin Flon, but I'm hearing that there was a bit more northeast of there, Sheridan, for example. Can you speak to how the rain might have helped just overall in that huge fire?
Sure. So the rain definitely helps. Even a few millimeters helps just by bringing the humidity levels up and gives our crews an ability to get some good work done. I understand that the area around Sheridan is looking quite good now in terms of control of the fire line, but of course we're talking about an extremely large fire, so lots of areas still that are of concern. But anytime we have a little bit of a break in the weather, lighter winds, lower temps, or higher humidity levels, it certainly does help our efforts.
The fires don't seem to have advanced further into communities. You talked about maintaining the flanks near the communities. Is there enough manpower currently to maintain that? And what kind of stress is that putting on the manpower situation?
Yeah, I would say right now we are definitely resourced for the current situation that's happening. We are always assessing what could come based on what forecasted conditions are like, what fire behavior is like, and are continuously looking for ways to ensure that we're going to be at the right levels for our preparedness goals. So that could still be, looking at out-of-province resources if we need to down the road, but at this time we are adequately resourced, I'd say.
How many firefighters from the states are arriving today?
I don't have a specific number on how many are arriving today. We'll have a better sense later this week. They are trickling in from a number of, I understand, different states. But we do have 122 U.S. personnel in the province already who arrived a few days ago.
Back to my question about arson. Some people may be confused because the term human-caused fires can cover a wide range of things, from something deliberate to something accidental. Can you give us an idea as to what percentage of these fires that are human-caused, because many of them are most of them carelessness? Have any been deliberate in recent weeks? I know that the two charges you mentioned date back to about a month ago, but these recent fires, are we talking mostly carelessness, normal activity that might spark a fire in very dry conditions, or something more purposeful?
Well, many of our fires remain under investigation, so determining the exact cause, is still a work in progress. I wouldn't say that people are out deliberately setting fires on a large scale. I think the majority of what we see are fires that start because of carelessness. It could just be an accidental or kind of an incidental thing to an activity that someone feels is safe at the time. A train can start a fire, and there's other things that are counted as human-caused fires that aren't a deliberately set fire.
Have there been any charges laid related to any of these large-scale wildfires that we're seeing right now?
In Manitoba, no, not at this time.
Go ahead.
The Sheridan and the Wagon fires are quite close. Is there any concern as to whether they're going to merge eventually or not, or is the wind in your favor?
They are very close, so it's quite likely that they will join up. However, we're confident in our work to protect the communities themselves. So even if they do, we're not particularly concerned about a large mega fire being formed.
Speaking to some firefighters in Creighton, just on the border, they had mentioned that being right there, they had tried to travel to the Manitoba side to join in on the firefighting efforts, but were turned away. Is there any explanation as to why they would be turned away? Is it simply you want to know who's in the fire zone fighting it actively, or?
I can't speak to that specific incident. I don't have details on that, but certainly in managing the incident, of course, we're always assessing if we have what we need, and if we have what we need, we don't necessarily want a whole bunch of other resources in there. We have a plan, and we have the resources necessary to execute that plan. So,
In terms of local fire resources, do you know how many local firefighters we have on the front line right now?
I don't have that number in front of me today, no.
Minister Naylor, evacuees are getting $34 a day from the Red Cross. Speaking to any evacuees, is that enough for them? Resources are stretched thin, we're running out of hotel rooms, things are getting expensive for evacuees.
What I can speak to is some of the work that Manitoba did to increase the amounts of money that would go to evacuees. Historically, there would have been a different amount from Indigenous Services Canada, a lesser amount going to community members compared to what the amount that would have come through our emergency social services. And so the province actually did a lot of work on that to ensure that the same amount of dollars would flow for everyone regardless of where the initial point of contact was for that. I don't, Christine, do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. I can't speak to how that rate is established. That's something that our team in families might have to speak to more specifically. But accommodations and meals and social supports are provided through the Red Cross for evacuees. And for folks staying with family and friends, they would receive the same amount of support. So, that is the amount that's been established at this time. Can you say what the amount was prior? We don't have information on the ISK amount here today.
Besides Snow Lake, are there any other evacuations that you're anticipating, whether due to the wildfire itself or the smoke?
It's pretty difficult to say with respect to smoke because it all depends on the wind direction, which can shift multiple times even during one day. But at this time, based on the current fires that we are managing and that we know of, we do not anticipate any further evacuations would be necessary in the immediate term.
And I know you don't want to get ahead of yourselves, but do you anticipate any communities will be able to go home anytime soon?
We obviously want everyone to go back as soon as they can, but we want to make sure that it's safe to do so. So at this time, I wouldn't want to predict when that might happen.
I understand there's a question on Zoom. I understand there's a question on Zoom.
Looks like we might have some issues, so we'll just take questions and well, I would ask the opposite questions. Are there any communities that you're expecting that will take longer to get back to their homes? Which one, if so, which ones?
I would say a very similar answer to that as well. It all depends on when we feel that it's safe for them to do so.
But in terms of like destruction, I mean, which communities have been more impacted in terms of infrastructure?
There have been no structure losses reported in any of the communities. So, it's a matter of assessing things like potentially damage to utilities or water treatment systems and all of that, but it hasn't been safe for a lot of that work to take place yet.
I might have missed it in the intro, but yesterday there was a low to moderate fire danger. And is that the same today? And how do you want Manitobans to think about that?
It would be similar today. I don't know exactly how the team will have rated it today, but definitely it's important for Manitobans to remember that just, because it might be raining where they are, or they might have seen that there's rain in the forecast, it doesn't mean that the fire danger, will radically change. The rain really will touch the top layer of vegetation, and then as soon as any wind or heat comes, it evaporates. So underneath, there is still a lot of dry material with potential for ignition. So, ask them to, remain aware of what the fire and burning restrictions are, the travel restrictions, and continue to respect those.
Minister Naylor, in terms of urging residents to reconsider their non-essential travel within the province, did the province consult the tourism ministry, or how are you working with the Hotel Association, Manitoba Tourism for this message?
Yeah, we're working really closely with the tourism industry and with the Hotel Association, in part just to help with the securing of the necessary hotel rooms. And this, if folks are, having a big meeting or convention or something over the next couple of weeks, if that's possible to reschedule, or if folks are coming into the city for a family weekend, maybe they can consider doing that later in the summer. We just want everybody in Manitoba to contribute to the efforts that we're making here to make safe spaces available for all Manitobans who've been evacuated.
And that's strictly voluntary, correct?
It's strictly voluntary at this time. Manitobans want to help. People have been asking us all the time, how can we help? So this goes beyond a donation to the Red Cross or dropping off some clothes. It says I can help by not taking up a hotel room right now when we need it.
You said at this time, are you considering?
This is a request of Manitobans to help us out here.
Any other questions from the room? Okay, thanks, folks.
Thank you.